Amanda.
I'm Ben.
AutoSave, welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Solo Leveling, Season 1, Episode 8. We're skipping over 7.5 because we believe that it is a recap episode. We don't need that. I'm so happy that Jin Woo is showing a little bit of restraint, not going right into the demon's castle just because we feel like it and we're just going to get better. No. We have a mission. We're going to do it. We're going to get more of the ingredients to the elixir of life, but we can have a little restraint and take our time, you know?
Right.
Don't do anything too stupid.
But you know what we could do? Get that cursed loot box somehow, and then maybe go into whatever instance dungeon that would open up.
Nope.
First.
Nope.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Visiting mom.
Cures all diseases. I'm still so curious about the scar on the neck.
She's still wearing her wedding ring. Let's go!
Okay.
C 級ゲートに入るにはメンバーが少なくとも8人必要な人数合わせを使うんだよ。ファンドンソクの使ってた方法と同じ。危険すぎませんか？ものは考えようだ。レイドを怪我人ゼロで終えることができる。19回連続無事故の攻撃隊。親父さんに実力を認めてもらう。
Yeah, that's definitely a standard.
そうしましょう、兄貴。メンバーとゲートは僕が手配しておきます。
Cha? Hunters really are like athletes.
Yeah.
それで何のご用ですか？
さすがは S 級ハンターですね。お声掛けのタイミングを見計らって宇宙失礼します。私こういうものです。
発生するようになって十数年、世界は目まぐるしく変化している。人々の生活の基盤となるインフラは地には立ち行かなくなった。そんな重要な資源を唯一こちらの世界に持ち帰ってくる。そしてそのハンターたちの管理をしているのが公的機関としてのハンター協会という公的機関に過ぎない。実際にの大半を持ち帰っているのはというハンター業を基軸としたキラの利益をほぼ独占していると言っていい。指を加えて眺めているわけにはいかない。力を振り回すだけの者たちに預けておくなどありえさえてきた我々が責任を持って預かるべきこと。そのために必要不可欠なのだ。
はい。S 級ハンターを引き抜いて兄さんと共同経営させリスクが大きい。でも今の僕には。規定の回数以上はカウントされないか。
So it was only a one-time secret quest.
シークレットクエストで選択しなかったクスを手に入れる機会を失ったということか。
Good.
Oh.
悪魔城の鍵と同等の価値のアイテムが出てくると。
That's even worse than like bandages.
There's Home Depot in this world? Ah.
No.
I like it.
You didn't like the cursed loot box? How do you know the penalty is always going to be the same?
D rank gate.
Having to wait to be able to have progress.
師範にはかないません。まだまだ勝ちは譲らんさ。やはり残念です。全力の師範と立ち会い。
Wow.
もう何ヶ月も経つというのに。が拾った命だ。さほど長くもない人生だが、世の中に貢献するために使いたい。
Wow.
次のレイドが決まった。
ねえあなたやめてくれない？ だって危険すぎるわ。あなたも危ないところでギリギリ逃げてきたんでしょ。
おお、来年から運次は幼稚園だし、運派も中学。金はいるようだろ。大丈夫さ。教会だって危険なダンジョンには低級なハンターは呼ばねえよ。
What happened
前の
before?
特別だった。
It's just an exception.
そうよね。ごめんなさい。余計
気にすんな。
気をつけてね。
What do you think life insurance policies look like in this world?
Ooh.
お、なんだ。
強いの？
もちろんだと。パパは怖い怪物だって。
Do you think Joey's gonna come?
I feel like everyone that survived is gonna be there.
何のことですか。心にしみるお話でした。
心にもないこと言ってんじゃねえ。そもそもあの仕事な元はお前んとこに来た話だろ。
で最長経由で来た有力ハンターの仕事に対する真摯な姿を見せるというオファーに対して僕では少々不適当かと思います。
ああ、いい。で、本題は何だ。の愚痴を聞くために呼び出すなんてことないだろう。
一応共有しておいた方がいいかと思われる話ができ
Construction.
Yeah.
立ち上げに動いているようです。
知ってるよ。裏でみたいだな。
Miss Shaw?
うちでも引き抜きの噂は上がってきてる。
ならいらぬおせっかいでしたかね。
こっちがそれぐらい知ってるのは分かっていただろう。今なよせ。
What are you really getting at here?
もう一度聞く。本題は何だ。
昔から怖がりなんやから、ハンターなんて辛いだけなんとちゃう。他の人ならそれなりに強いんやろうけど、あんたじゃ足手まといになるだけとちゃう。
Jesus.
何あんた。
Pushing your daughter down for what is then revealed to be a manipulative motive of come help the family business.
でももうちょっと頑張ってみよう。失礼します。
いやー、どうしましたか。チャヘインハンター。
トレーニング中に友人建設のスカウトの方が来まして、そのご報告に。
ということは断ったということでいいのかな。
はい、その場でお断りしまし
しました。ありがとうございます。
いえ、そういえばベク社長がお見えになっていたようですが、何を話されていたんですか。
あなたはジェジュ島についてどう思っていますか。
Bringing up Jeju Island again.
ジェジュ島？どうってのは何がだ。
以降、あの島は立ち入ることが
Oh.
今は定期的なエースのみ。大衆には年に1回の異例の様子が伝えられるだけ。ことを忘れ去ろうとしている。
だがそれは仕方ないことだ。
ですが、僕はどんなにゲートの存在が日常になったとしても、などともてはやされても、あの島のこと、あそこで起こったことを忘れたことはありません。僕はいずれ遠くない未来に再びあの島の攻略。
Okay.
今あなた方に分裂されては困る。我々は力をつけ仲間を
取材や新人育成もそのため。
あなたもあるんじゃないですか。あの島に忘れてきたものが。
ビョンらを殺してください。
私の剣はモンスターに通用しない。できた剣はダンジョンで何の役にも立たないが、包茎ハンターとして覚醒した。
Wow, that's interesting.
それにも何か理由がある。ミオ、
Yeah, I know.
まさかとは思ったが、ソン君じゃないか。
久しぶりです。
You've grown a lot, my friend.
あのあどけない少年はどこに行ったんだ。数ヶ月でこんなにも人は変わるものなのか。
でも、ソンさんは。
私はだから時間が経ちすぎたよ。だが構わないさ。
どうしてここに。
教会に呼ばれたんだ。D級だそうだ。
ソンさんもですか。
There's only one reunion that I'm like scared for.
なんたる偶然。昨日メンバーが揃うと。
Wow.
Wow.
シュヒさん、キムさんとカンさん。
孫君を置き去りにしてあの場所から逃げた。剣を突きつけたキム君はなおさら合わせる顔がないに決まっている。こ こうしてまたあの惨劇を生き残った5人が集まったのだ。
すごく見違えて。
はい、お久しぶりです。
でもすごく伸びてるし、足も。やっぱりお見舞いに行った時にはもう。
お見舞い？
こっちにも若い女がいるじゃねえか。んだ、そっちの兄ちゃんと
Criminal hunters?
Wait.
俺たちとも足
静かに遠足じゃないんだぞ。
We use them as like a workforce for the
Yeah.
Hunters Association?
Wow.
行いますのでこちらへ。
これは一体。
犯罪を犯したハンターですが、
Hunter convicts.
危険行為をしたりはしません。
But is anyone gonna come in to do surveillance on them during
ご理
it?
解ください。
なんてことだ。
ハンター協会監視課の
Okay,
Okay.
think of this.
彼は B 級ですので、万が一の場合でも
He's B rank, okay.
服役者3人抑え込むのは容易です。
That will make it so Jinwoo's a little bit more on edge about using his abilities, though, right?
ジュヒさんは参加を見送ってください。
ジヌさんは
俺は行きます。
Then she's gonna go too.
それなら私も行きます。
ハンター協会監視課のカンテシクと申しますが、責任を持って監視しますのでご安心ください。
Was it on purpose that we sent invites to all of these people? And they're the ones that responded?
私がリーダーをしても構わないか。
はい、もちろん。
また機会をくれて。
ソンさん？
Mr. Song is the best character.
私のせいで7人も亡くなったを代表して言わせてくれ。心から感謝している。
ソンさん、顔を上げてください。
君も構わないか。私がリーダーをしても。好きにしてください。
それでは行きましょう。
Nothing bad will happen. Specifically to Mr. Song. Okay, that was episode 8 of Solo Leveling. I'm really excited to see Teshk in action.
I hope that we don't have to, but to make the show more entertaining, it would be, especially since we put it here that he's a B rank, so he should be able to take care of any C rank trouble from these criminals. Now that you've told me this, and you've put it out there into the universe, now I kind of want to have that happen.
It
so
would
I can
be
entertained.
Nothing but an awful idea for the hunter convicts to do anything malicious. You know, like
Right.
Why would you? You're not only getting your sentence reduced, because, like, okay, if Teshk wasn't going in, then I would be like, they could say whatever they want. They could kill everybody, come back and say that it wasn't them. Even if that wasn't believable, that's at least something.
Mhm.
But if Teshk is there, the only way the hunter convicts are going to be able to do anything malicious or if they think that they're capable enough of taking him down. And it's been clarified verbally that he's B rank. So I wonder what ranks all of the convicts are. I wonder what their system is to be given a rank and if that differs slightly from somebody who is not like a convicted felon.
Well, it sounds like they were all C rank, and they were probably given their ranking before becoming criminals.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Like, it
Interesting.
sounds like they were called hunter. I mean, I guess they could all have just been awakened while being criminals, therefore being called hunter convicts.
Mhm.
But I took it like they did crimes while they were already a hunter.
It could be a
and then
mix
were
of
locked
both as
away,
well.
But honestly, it could be that they just awakened while in jail.
It's interesting though, because you're right, C rank. And we're told that Tesh could probably take down 3 C rank easily, but do we think that the convicts feel like that, or the prisoners?
Do we think that they believe they could be taken down
Yeah.
easily? They seem pretty confident and cocky and a little bit scary. But I think what's more interesting is what you were posing in terms of like what would even be the benefit of them acting up and not just doing their job here to reduce their sentence. At the moment, I'm like trying to figure out, would there even be any benefit? It's not like once they leave, I guess they could kill everyone and then try to escape and run away. I guess that would be maybe steal some stuff from inside, get some like loot and resources from the C rank dungeon, and then escape and run away.
You know what? Maybe we're just thinking too pessimistically. Maybe they won't do anything wrong. They will just try to get their sentences reduced. I'm just a little bit skeptical because of Mr. Dong-suk and that entire interaction. But we're back with our OG squad.
Which is another reason to be suspicious that something might transpire. Because why the hell did we only send this request to participate? Oh, I think it's like a D rank gate, actually. I called it a C rank gate. Apologies. A request to participate, seemingly only to people that were a part of Mr. Song's original team.
See, I don't think that necessarily needs to mean anything deeper. Like, we could just happen to see the people that we already know accepting it, and they're within this area already, and that's been pre-established because they've already, gone together to fight.
Right.
But
There's
I
a line
think we
of-
should entertain it slightly.
There's a line about there being like a exodus of hunters in this particular area.
Mhm.
So I guess this was just an area or a town area that Jinwoo and Song really worked in, and so maybe it did seem like they all kind of relatively knew of other people that were a part of this, and Song kind of knew some of them. So maybe this was like a neighborhood strike team, if you will. Like, oh, all the neighborhood hunters come together for gates that are around their area, keeping their streets clean, that kind of thing. And so when we get the idea of there being an exodus of hunters, maybe these are just the ones that are still in this neighborhood, and
Yeah.
that's why they got sent it. But I have to think that it has to be suspicious by the fact that we have Teshk here, and he's on the surveillance team for the Hunters Association, and he already knows to be wary or suspicious of us. And it's not like we put the folder of what happened in that dungeon away and we were never going to look at it again. It was put away on a shelf like we might come back to this. This isn't closed. This isn't a closed case.
Interesting. So do you think that Teshk came into the situation knowing that Jinwoo would for sure be there, and that was the intention going into it, to further the investigation? Because I could also read Teshk's like he definitely gives a look to Jinwoo's back in this episode, but I took it more as him realizing like, oh, I think that's the dude I saw in the hospital,
So right now, I'm gonna just think that it's fun to operate that this was intentional, because it also gives me maybe either more confidence in Teshk, or at least more like, oh wow, the Hunters Association puts a lot of hope and faith in Teshk, because it seems like maybe we're trying to do a few jobs here and not just one job. I don't think we could read it as our main job isn't necessarily to make sure these criminals don't act up, and maybe we're here with another job, which is see these survivors go into a dungeon together again and see if there's any funny business.
Yeah. All right, well, some other things did happen this episode other than Teshk, but one of the things I wanted to talk about, I don't think we'll be talking about too long, but was about Mr. Song. First of all, I love him in this episode. I love his perspective. I love his point of view, and one of the best moments was him realizing the uncomfortable energy, rightfully so, within the members of that initial raid, if you will.
Yeah, Kim and Mr. Kong specifically.
And we had a line from him that was super interesting that I pulled up on screen right now. I didn't awaken to a physical power, which means that my sword is useless against magical beasts. The martial arts I've spent decades on are useless inside of a dungeon. A swordsman like myself gaining magic focus powers is quite the twist of fate, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Like, the idea that you can be given powers that are so categorized, right? That one could not be applicable to another. Like, you could be a swordsman and are trained in swords your entire life, but you can't, put magic powers through your sword to like slash energy beams. You know what I mean? It's strictly focused and categorized, which is really unfortunate for Mr. Song, because I wonder what rank he would be if he was given, sword-based powers or physical-based attributes.
I think that what is most interesting to me about this line of dialogue, this line of thinking, is that you would think that if someone awakened powers to be able to be a hunter, it would be something befitting of them, like something that would feel like a natural inclination towards something. And for some, because it makes me imagine, I feel like whenever you see someone, oh, it's like a fighter class. Okay, well, we have someone who's like a fighter, and we're gonna visit them a little more in this episode. I think it's Byak Yonho.
Mm-hmm.
He gives fighter. He gives fists. You know, by his character design, he gives the type of person that's gonna be like right up and close personal punching a
Interesting.
monster.
It-
And so I feel like that's what I would imagine. But this opens up the idea that we're gonna see people who do not match your like stereotype of what you would imagine someone who is more a swordsman or magic focused or more fighter, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily fit the build that
Healer.
they aesthetically look.
You're
I think
right.
his name was Baek Young-hoo.
Baek Yeonhu?
Yeah, but we're probably going to be hearing it a lot more,
Yes.
especially with the alluding to what he left behind on Jeju Island, which was a massive reveal. That's not even what I planned about talking next, but it's just so fascinating. It also gives like such an added layer to Guildmaster Choi and what his motivations are, because I wouldn't have, you know, put him into like an empathetic, like that we have to go, it's been gnawing at me, you know, and that's a really interesting development on his part.
I think it's a perfect jump to go from Mr. Song to these two S ranks, and I would say they're both guild masters basically. I think Baek does the White Tiger Guild, and then Guildmaster Choi is the Hunters Guild. So a nice jump to kind of a social responsibility. Mr. Song says he's not going to retire because he's still capable of, you know, taking care of gates and protecting society and the world and the communities. And these guys are talking about Jeju Island in this episode. Their responsibility, at least on Guildmaster Choi's end, the responsibility is not the what we left behind. It's the fact that how the world views him is the ultimate weapon, and yet he was not able to clear that island, and it is a sign of how unsafe they truly actually are.
Yeah. Let's bring up the dialogue between Guildmaster Choi and Baek. Except, no matter how commonplace gates may have become, or how much I get fawned over as the ultimate weapon of humanity, I can never forget about that island, or what happened there. He clenches his fist. I intend on clearing that island in the near future. We must gain strength, gather allies, and sway public opinion. That's why you arranged for the interview and are training new hunters? Isn't there something you left behind on that island as well? And then we go to Baek in the bar, and it could be a relative. That's my current theory, right? There's somebody in the middle of these monsters. Baek has somebody over his shoulder currently that he's rescuing, and we see one individual that is getting decimated. It seems like they have the same color hair and maybe similar sideburns.
I'm not gonna go with relative. He says two names, and I believe they were the names that are said in the first 3 minutes of the first episode in terms of like when all the S ranks are introduced, and it's the three of them. It could be that one of them is a relative of his, but I'm just gonna go with like those were his like buddies that he fought with for those first couple years that the gates were in Hunters were even a thing.
That's fair.
And he wasn't able to protect them. I remember when they jumped in the first episode, it was like, thank goodness the S rank hunters are here, we're saved. And we are now learning in this episode that there were probably S rank hunters that didn't even make it out of Jeju Island.
Maybe so. I am wondering how this, like, it feels like a long story beat within the Guildmaster Choi and Baek conversation, because while we're bringing up Jeju Island and the inevitability of going back there, we're also bringing up Jinho's dad and the idea of them poaching other hunters and them trying to establish themselves as their own guild. And I'm wondering how that's going to end up playing out, right? We're trying to recruit Miss Cha, sorry, and as the S-rank GM. And I wonder if that position will inevitably, we're going to break it down, but will inevitably be taken by Jin Woo. And I wonder if people like Baek will be like, oh, I wonder what guild or organization Jin Woo got poached from. They were trying to poach anyways, you know? Okay, so we have two situations playing out by Jinho's dad. One of which is Jinho's method of trying to become capable of being a GM, with Jinwoo finally signing on for these 19 raids and that going on. But we also have Jinho's dad on his own time seemingly sending out people to recruit people like Miss Cha.
Mm-hmm.
And if that inevitably doesn't work out and Jin Ho's method works out and Jin Woo is their main, focus, I wonder how that would clash with the other guilds at some point.
Well, already I feel like there's a clash already because of poaching, but there's a clash in terms of like what is happening into morally, ethically. We have this idea of like, well, yes, the Hunters Association is a public institution, but then once the guilds formed, you're branching into the private sector. They have a monopoly over these vital resources, and you could see Jinho's dad wanting to be involved as, oh, well, there's a monopoly. If you're using that word for these vital resources that society needs and our communities need and our people need, the country that we have been working for, you can make it sound really grand that you're trying to get in there and not let these just 5 guilds hold all of the power and all of the money and all of the resources. But if you think about it also, like, am I really supposed to read Jinho's dad as thinking about the greater good here? Or am I supposed to read him more as, like, thinking about the fact that these vital resources come with a lot of money?
Yeah, I think it could be read either way because he brings it up in a way that it's like it's our responsibility because we've contributed so much
To this country.
like already. And I can see that like you're in such a high up position, there's almost like a responsibility on you to be able to do something with your power.
Mhm.
And I think that can be genuine and earnest, but it doesn't have to be because it could easily be like just motivated by profit.
Right, and he has a line where he specifies somewhat of a difference between him and the guilds that are already created by saying that leaving such vital resources to mercenaries.
Yeah.
I think that he's showing that he views them maybe looking down on, maybe seeing that these aren't the type of people that should be in charge of something so important to the country and to basically keeping people alive, the infrastructure, the economy, everything. Like, we shouldn't be leaving it to, yeah, they awakened powers, but should we really be leaving it to them? We know the businessmen that have built this country should be the ones. That's kind of like what he's giving, is that like he's held this power within this country. He's held this responsibility within this country, how much he's done for it, that it's almost like you are in my class and you shouldn't be. That's like a read you could get from it.
Yeah, it definitely is a read that you can get from it. I believe that one of the actual lines, the association is nothing more than a function of the state. The vast majority of those vital resources from dungeons are collected by the guilds, the businesses who hire out hunters as a service. The guilds have become extremely wealthy from the dungeon resources they collect, and then we go on to list them. Question for you.
Okay.
We all love Johi here. She has a line that I'm paraphrasing here. I want to try a little more.
Yep.
I want the best for her, and I want her to be the best version of herself. I hope that's what happens. I think that, unfortunately, it can be a dangerous game when that I want to try a little more and motivation comes from watching Jin Woo.
Comes from another person. It's not necessarily coming from something internally.
No, not just another person. Somebody who's operating in a different world than you are.
Okay.
You are not in a world that you can train to improve. Like, you can hone your skills and techniques, but you can't improve your strength to get to another rank.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the I want to try a little more mindset might be dangerous if you're looking at Jin Woo's motivation, because he's trying more and it results in a very different way than if you tried more.
Yeah, it's a little bit misguided to put like him. He's not a good example, especially if you're looking at him like trying, and like that idea of getting over trauma is probably more where she's at in terms of like her fear, as she's seeing someone who was weaker and should be filled with tons of fear and not want to go back into the dungeons and the gates. And she's seeing that they're still willing to try, but he's still willing to try, and basically even probably like in some regard in the instance dungeon he realizes that he was traumatized, but one of the reasons he's able to continue trying is because he was given the ability to be a player.
Yeah.
Like, he has growth happening within him. He's not just stuck and stagnant in the place that he was anymore. And so what you're attributing to like, oh wow, mental stability and growth and like, you know, healthy dealing with trauma, I'm seeing that and I want to continue being better and being able to do this job and be stronger and not be so anxious or scared all the time. He's not a good example of that.
So, this might be a little bit stupid to bring up because I don't think that it's real necessarily. We have used potions, right? Last episode, we used potions on ourselves.
Yeah.
If, let's say, Joey gets hurt in a way that would, you know, a healing potion might be beneficial to her, would we be able to use that on her because she is not a player? That's not my real question. My real question is, will the elixir of life, once we acquire all of the ingredients, be able to be used on Jinwoo's mom?
Okay. So I think it's the same question. It's that can these things that he's able to acquire be able to be used by someone else? It's that you can ask yourself, could someone grab the Kasaka dagger from him and be able to use it?
People can't see our in-game menu when we're seeing it. Because of that, does that mean that we can... they can't see a potion in front of us, therefore they can't drink it, therefore they wouldn't be able to take the elixir of life? Or would we be able to remove it from that inventory and it become a tangible thing in front of us?
I feel like the items do become tangible things. I feel like Jinho did see a dagger in Jinwoo's hands.
Yeah.
And I feel like when the loot boxes land and like open up in the sky and a bandage or a key appears in his hand, I believe that what the key is seen. I believe that the item that is within the box is seen.
I agree with that.
But can it be used for someone else? I feel like what's the point of this existing other than it being a super fucked up quest that at the end of the day is going to ruin him once he gets it and then realizes he can't even use it for his mom? Like, why'd he like go through all that? Like, you'd be mad at the game master at that time.
I think it could be interesting to go down that route. I don't know if they would, because it's like, this is such a goal for us. It's such a peak that we'd have to get to be able to even get the items that are in the demon's castle, that surely like we can at least like get our mom healthy again after we get those ingredients.
Right. It's the conversation of like, he's gaining this power and became a player and is going to use the system in order to get stronger, but also be able to pay for sister's tuition, pay for mom to stay in the hospital, and hopefully someday get better. And it's that same line of conversation of, yeah, it's all great to be able to save yourself and get stronger, but at the end of the day, if you have this secret power and these healing potions and you can't even give it to the person beside you that's dying,
yeah,
that would be...
You'd get so jaded almost.
You'd get jaded. I feel like that is something that could be really interesting.
It'd be really
if we
fascinating.
Go there.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure at the moment. Because I don't feel like someone could grab the instance dungeon keys and use them for themselves. I feel like only Jinwoo could. So honestly, I don't feel like I have enough evidence to like feel like I know for sure if a healing potion that he buys in the store could be used for someone else.
Yeah, my last thing I think I have is just the wedding ring shot that we got with Jinwoo's mom. It's just, there's not really anything to talk about, but just knowing that I believe that the father's missing, right? It was a little bit vague, but I would love to know more about like dad's gone missing, and if it is just Jinwoo's dad just fucking left, or if there was more to it.
I feel like we both came out of that scene with similar feelings. I feel like why else would you give somewhat of an emphasis on... why would you put a scar on like a really big scar on a character's neck that's laying in a hospital bed that never really gets an explanation of why? I feel like we always get, not emphasis on it, but it's on the side of the neck that you see a lot of the time from the certain camera angle, you know? But to get the fact that he's touching her hand and holding her hand, like, yeah, of course he would. That's his mom in a hospital bed. But we're not covering the ring, and we're almost kind of drawing attention to it by Jinwoo holding his mom's hand, that I feel like it definitely gives us more like, okay, well, what is the dad situation? Okay. I had a few more things, if that's okay.
Go on.
So one of the reasons that we're at this C rank dungeon to begin with, this D rank. So why do I keep calling it a C rank? Why we're at this D rank at the end, D rank gate at the end of the episode is because we're being a little bit impatient to some degree. We don't want to wait. So the points from our dailies of us running, us doing squats, whatever it is, they're not enough anymore to have any sort of actual, like, it's 3 points. So it doesn't really do anything for us anymore.
Yeah, and it seems like we can't surpass our dailies to be able to get a secret objective anymore. Yeah.
Which sucks for us because I wanted to see what was in the cursed loot box. So hopefully we do something else and we can have a chance to open a cursed loot box.
Yeah.
But we debated doing the penalty quest with the centipedes. And how do you even know if it would be the centipedes? He's like, I think I could run faster now. Like, yes, you could, but what if the penalty quest is not always the centipedes in the desert? There you go. And also, what if that was a penalty quest for you at that time and your strength level at that time? What will it be now? I feel like it can't be the same thing because I feel like it would equate to whatever would be an actual penalty for you at your current strength. And I really liked what you get visually is that when he is getting this notification for the request to participate, he's walking up to a crosswalk and there's like a no walking sign. And it's at this moment in time where he's like better than nothing, not wanting to wait. He feels like he needs to continue the progress. The 3 points isn't enough. What should he be doing here? And he's going to have to wait a little bit for Jinho and the strike team. And I really liked the visual of what we're getting here because it really is giving impatience. And I feel like when a character starts feeling like they're sitting at the edge of their seat and they feel like they're rushing for something, when there is no real need to rush.
We're on different sides of the coin, Anna. We're like, I'm like, I resonate with this. We have momentum. We're grinding, bro. Like, even if we're not doing like C or B rank things with Jinho, something's better than nothing. I'm just going to work. I'm locked the fuck in. If I am just taking it lackadaisically, I'm never gonna get anywhere with that attitude. I can heal myself if I can get healing I'm just gonna keep going as hard as I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I see that as possibly being dangerous. If you're just consistently, if you're too uncomfortable to just wait for something that is already there that's going to be happening, I think that you could get into some dangerous territory. I think you need to be able to, I'm speaking to myself here. I think you need to be comfortable waiting sometimes. Impatience is something that is very me. So, I'm not a patient person.
I agree with you. There's just a line in the sand, right? If like Jinwoo fighting, if he had walked into the demon's castle last episode, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Be patient. I agree with you totally. But what's the risk here? There's no risk. We're fine.
I mean, we walked into a situation where there's these criminals.
What? No.
Yeah, and the surveillance team members here. I feel like we got into something that could be dangerous.
We'll see.
Could at least get eyes on us that we don't want on us.
That's definitely fair.
My next thing is I just wanted to kind of, we didn't really talk about it. We talked about Jinho and his dad, but I just wanted to talk about one way to read that interaction. I had previously taken Jinho offering a contract to Jinwoo like it was something his dad was also agreeing with, that he wasn't acting alone. But there was somewhat of like getting the idea that the dad is looking to recruit S ranks to be GMs.
The internal dialogue that Jinho had in the car at the end of the conversation is what you're referring to.
The internal dialogue, yes, that he had.
Let's bring it up.
Even if that's true, there's a lot of risk involved in recruiting an S rank hunter to act as my brother's business partner, which isn't the case for me. Okay, so the only reason we'd have to get an S rank hunter to be a business partner for our brother. Okay, so to me, I read this, one of the ways I could read this is that Jinho is acting separately in order to prove himself to his father. Like, hey, brother hasn't awakened. You can trust me. I'm going to do these 20 gates with a strike team, and I'm going to show you I can be a GM. And then almost like proving it to his dad that he's capable of this. And my initial read when he brought the offer to Jinwoo was that this was sanctioned by his dad, or his dad knew about this. But it feels much more like dad is operating with Jinho not really being in charge of it, and he's acting as he is as like the company head, making shit happen on his end.
I would love to know a little bit more though, because there's so many unanswered questions. You know, there exists a world that Jinho's dad doesn't have this plan to get a S rank with Jinho's older brother, and he is only supportive of Jinho, thinking like, oh yeah, Jinho's gonna be an S rank hunter himself, and then after he ranks where he does, then he kind of puts a divide into the path and has two different routes to go forward now. That could exist even. Right. I don't really know.
But yeah, so I have one more thing.
Okay.
And it's something that I don't think that we'll be able to answer. And it was a blip in the episode. It was a couple seconds. And so if I could just direct you to where that is in the episode.
Alrighty.
1550. This scene.
Yeah.
You can have it play out. Please, I'm begging you. They have to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's such interesting placement, you know? Because it comes immediately after we get Bake's like recollection of leaving something behind on Jeju Island, and I would assume that it would have to deal with the group that we're interacting with right now and Jinwoo. But there's not really much to go off of. We might have seen this character before. I can't immediately like name him.
Right. My immediate theory upon seeing this was we don't want the criminals to survive.
Interesting.
That or like we don't want the survivors of the dungeon to the original gate to survive because other people did die. And so it's someone who died in that situation with its statues wanting revenge against the survivors.
So let's look at the beginning of this, right? Backpack, right?
Yeah.
There's a backpack right there. And then later in the episode, when we're grouped up, we get a wider shot. And there are only two people with bags.
Kong has a backpack.
Yeah, so maybe it was him, potentially, and maybe it's like, what if like, that would be really interesting. What if what if one of the convicts killed someone and one of their relatives is like, this isn't enough punishment. They're set to be free. They can lessen their sentence. That's ridiculous.
Okay,
they killed my family member. Go kill them.
That's a great point. Because think about in the real world when people are able to do something with their sentence, like take a plea deal or something in order to make their sentence lower or get in a different jail than they would have been in previously.
Yeah.
Family members of the person that was killed or that got hurt are oftentimes really angered by this. Like, why do they deserve to be given this chance?
Yeah. That or my like shot in the dark like potential answer is Dongso was impatient and hired like other people to try to kill Jinwoo.
He seems like he's impatient, but that he'd want to do it with his own hands.
You're right. I agree with you.
So, yep, that was my last thing. It's just that little tiny blip that you probably couldn't even find with a thumbnail if you were scrolling on Crunchyroll.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next time.